Next is sponsored by Gillette, the best a man can get.
Back here, first things first, we are joined by FS1 NBA analyst Chris Broussard. Chris, it's been a while.
Man, good to be back.
Having you back
Welcome
here.
back, man.
It's good to be back.
I mean, a lot's changed since you've been back.
A lot's changed. It's nice to be around some friendly
faces.
faces.
Get taller?
Didn't it? Well, the hair,
Can you verify, though? It is not hair plugs and it's real.
It is definitely real. It's sharp, man.
He's not.
That's good.
But the hair is.
You know
it's
what?
sharp. I don't know if you like it. I don't think he likes it.
I'm a little
but it looks real
with
good.
it. But I just real quick before we get to the actual sports.
You do
know what I
nothing
love
real
about
quick.
Chris Carter? The only reason people thought it was hair plugs is because he said for 2 months on television it was hair plugs. And now he's like, hey, Chris Broussard.
I also told the people you were married to my sister.
Yeah, which is another
They
one.
thought, well, I mean, us.
Nothing gets up.
My sister, sister.
Hey, guys.
Him too.
Broussard, let's talk some basketball. Things are getting weird. We haven't heard much from Giannis this offseason, that after getting bounced in the conference finals of the last season. The Greek Freak coming off his first MVP after carrying his Bucks team to a 60-win season. Isn't that enough? Asks everyone. Hardly, says Giannis. The 24-year-old believes this is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg, saying, quote, I think I'm at 60% of my potential. So, Broussard, is there pressure on Giannis to get even better after his MVP season to fill in that 40%?
No question. And if he's right about 60%, then it's...
Good night, everybody.
It's going to be scary. But, yeah, there's pressure on him for a few reasons. One, when you win the MVP, you put yourself in that group of players that has to win a championship now. Everybody doesn't, but when you don't follow up an MVP eventually with a title, then people begin to look down on you. Like, we've heard Damian Lillard talk about, I want to stay where I'm at. Well, as great as Lillard is, there's not that pressure on Lillard where he's got to have a ring. LeBron at the point had to have a ring. Kevin Durant had to have a ring. And so you saw what they did to get their rings. So Giannis has to get a ring. Number two, he was exposed in the Eastern Conference Finals by Kawhi without his jumper. We knew he couldn't shoot the jumper, but nobody had really been able to stop him from getting to the rim and doing the things he normally did to offset his lack of a jump shot. So he's got to improve that. And then thirdly, what does every other star on his level have?
What?
A second guy.
Oh.
LeBron, Anthony Davis, Steph, Harden now, Kevin Durant. They all have that second star. He doesn't. He's got Chris Middleton, who's a really good player, will make some all-star teams, largely because they're winning. But he doesn't have that second star on the level that the other guys do. So there is the pressure for him to keep improving, no doubt about it.
I don't think people have the expectations, too, because I remember LeBron, and I'm not going to compare what Kawhi did to him, what happened to LeBron against Dallas.
Okay. But the Spurs,
when they came back. No, the Spurs, because it was in Cleveland. Like, with the Spurs, I wasn't too much concerned about that. But the pressure and the comparison, to me, because it was like with LeBron, what's next? Like, what's next in this game? And Giannis, it should be, well, what's next? I don't believe there's no all-NBA player that's only playing 60% of what they can play. Can Giannis improve? Will he ever be a 40% three-point shooter? All those things? Probably not. But going against Kawhi and being the MVP of the league, he should have fared better than that. Kawhi exposed him. They weren't double-teaming him. It was mono on mono. And he realizes that not only does he have to keep improving his three-pointer, but he's got to improve his mid-range game. So to me, all great players, it's a matter of what's next. And you make a great point as far as he doesn't have that other star, but he's got a collection of talent and a system that he should thrive in. I love Giannis's game. I love the fact, too, that he's not ducking, I need to get better, even though a lot of people consider me to be great.
And here's why I'm so bullish on Giannis. One is the age. He's 24. Just for some context, Chris Stapps, who we think's young, gonna be great one day, he turns 24 in a month. Karl Anthony Towns turns 24 in a couple months. Kuzma turns 24 next week. Embiid's 25. Like, guys that we think, okay, one day they'll reach their full... Giannis is their age, and he's already been league MVP. He's already been up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals before Kawhi put that claw on him and the thing went sideways. He's also, every single year of his career, his field goal percentage has gone up. His points per game have gone up. His rebounding per game has gone up. And the reason that's so impressive is not just the continual improvement, but this year he got better in everything despite playing 5 less minutes per game. He was playing 37 minutes a game last year. The season before this was 32 and a half this year under Coach Bud. So fewer minutes, more production. Now for Giannis, it's always going to be about the shooting because he can do everything else. He could have won Defensive Player of the Year. He did win MVP. He was 26% on open threes. So if he can just shoot 1 out of 3, a legitimate percentage on open threes, then guys have to come out closer to him, and then he can continue to ruin people at the rim. That's the biggest part of his game that seems the most obvious because his passing is elite for his size. His scoring's obviously elite. His defense is as good as anybody in the NBA. It's the perimeter shooting, and if he takes that next step, the Bucks won't need that second star.
Clearly the shooting then is where you'd fill in that 40%. But when you look at the greatest players that we've been following in the last 10 years, do you put him in that echelon? Is he on pace within the Kevin Durant's, the LeBron James at this age to be this good? Or were those guys a little more completed and polished at this age?
Well, Durant has kind of always been complete. You know, his offensive arsenal is just awesome. So what he needed was, you know, kind of an offensive system that better fit him and helped him to win championships. And maybe, you know, mentally he needed to get over some things too because, let's face it, they should have beat Golden State in 2016 and they couldn't do it. LeBron obviously needed to work on his jump shot. And you know, so Giannis, I like what you said about Giannis with the mid-range. He's never going to be a tremendous three-point shooter, but if his mid-range, if against Toronto he had a mid-range game, that would have changed everything. Here's the other thing. In 2021, he could be a free agent, so 2 years from now. Will he get to a point? I remember interviewing LeBron in his 4th year, and LeBron was saying, you know, I'm not going to be a ring chaser. And I'm not saying he's a ring chaser, but he got to a point where he knew he needed to win rings. He's like, I'm not going to, I don't feel like I'll have to be a ring chaser and so on and so forth. Kevin Durant criticized LeBron, I believe, on Twitter when LeBron went to Miami. Oh, so we not competing. There's something to that effect. Like I said, the pressure begins to mount year after year when you're on that level. So Giannis, who right now is talking about staying in Milwaukee, being on the coaching staff and the front office when he's done playing, if he doesn't win it in 2 years or at the least get to the finals,
but it's not
that's
even
when
2
he
years.
may begin looking at leaving.
Broussard, to me, it's this year. Because what will happen is this year, after this season, they can offer him that 5-year, $250 million contract. And if he turns that down, then Milwaukee, the story next offseason will be, are they going to trade him? There is no franchise tag in the NBA. You can't let a player like this walk out the door for nothing. So that is where there is immense pressure. I think it's one of the reasons why they paid a premium to bring back Middleton, paid a premium to bring back Brook Lopez after already re-signing Eric Bledsoe early. They know they have to make the NBA Finals this year. If they win a championship, then obviously you don't have to worry about it. But at the very least, they have to get a step further because if they offer him next offseason, when they can, the 5 years, $246, and he turns it down, then Milwaukee has to immediately start to consider what type of trade package can we get for this player. So to me, it's not a 2-year window. It's 1 year, and the pressure on Giannis, because everything up to this point in his career, Chris, has been good headlines. MVP, I mean, we didn't even kill him that much for the way they ended their season. Next year, no matter what he does in the regular season, people are going to say, doesn't matter, show it to me in the playoffs. And it will be about, can he get past Philly and whomever else is the contenders out east to get to the NBA Finals?
I love Giannis's attitude. I hope he just keeps working on his game. I hope he doesn't get consumed like people covering the game with the three-pointer, because he's never going to be a great three-point shooter. Never. Never. He's never going to be a great three-point shooter. But if he can sharpen up that intermediate game, he can be unstoppable. Forget about where he's going to play. If I'm Giannis, I'm trying to get to unstoppable. And then when you get to a series, like against Kawhi, they have no defense for that because the game slows down. There's more physical contact in the playoffs. And when that happened, he didn't thrive. So I don't care where I'm going in the future. If I get that mid-range game, I'm going to terrorize the other 29 teams in the league.
All right, good stuff. Let's take a break. Broussard, stick around.